What's up, everybody? My name is Key Air, and you are watching the important things that really matter. Today, we're going to be talking about red flags that you need to be looking at if you are out here trying not to get caught up in the child support hustle and trying not to get caught up in the child support trap. There are certain qualities and characteristics that you need to be looking for to avoid some of these things. You need to be very, very conscious of these things to avoid people that's going to give you a high probability of you falling into a child support trap, child support hustle, where you may end up having financial hardships for the next 20 years. So, having said that, before we get into it, I want you to please like, please share, and please subscribe, because I'm trying to build this channel, and I appreciate any help that you would give me. So let's get into it. What are some of the things that you need to be looking for? First thing that you need to be doing, whether you're male or female, because that's the last video that I was talking to you about, there are females that have gotten caught into the child support trap. As I was stating before, there was one particular lady. She had to end up paying $1,500 a month in child support. So, in a nutshell, what I suggest that people do is what people did in the past. You need to sit down and talk to the person and really and truly get to know the person that you are dealing with. That's what people used to do in the past. Go on walks with people, or go and get some coffee and sit down and talk with this person. Even if it's somebody that you don't think you want to have something long-term with, and you just want to just get to know them or whatnot, it is extremely important that you spend a large amount of time getting to know the person. Because by talking to a particular person, they can tell you some things about themselves, which will let you know either you want to continue to get to know this person, or maybe you want to leave that person alone. For example, if you are dating a person, like a woman in particular, and this person is telling you what they're not going to do, and that they're independent, they don't need a man, nobody tells me what to do, I would suggest that you get rid of them immediately. You don't have to be rude about it. You be like, okay, all right. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some men like that. That doesn't necessarily work for me, and it also doesn't necessarily work for a lot of other men. But there are some men that might work for. But unfortunately, those men that might work for, those women over time are probably going to get bored with you real quick. That's another thing too. If you're with somebody that gets bored real easy, it's not your job to entertain anybody. It is not your job to entertain anybody. So if they get bored easily, they can decide, well, I don't want to be with you no more because you're boring. And you may find yourself caught up in the child support trap, the child support hustle. You might be experiencing 20 years of financial hardships because you decided to get with somebody that's easily bored. Get this straight. It is not your job to entertain anybody. Let me say that again. It is not your job to be entertaining anybody. So what are you, a clown or something? No, you're not a clown. So it's not your job to entertain anybody. And if you with somebody that has a problem not being bored, get rid of them. You just be nice about it. You be like, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, oh, you get bored easily. Okay, you have to be entertained. Or if you're talking to somebody that's very materialistic, they talking about what you should be buying for them, or they talking about the car notes that you should be paying for, and you just met them. You just met them. They talking about the car note that's got to be paid. Well, first of all, if they're supposed to be an independent woman, they should be paying their own car note. That's one thing that I need to explain real quick, because I think a lot of people do not understand the word independent. The word independent means that you are not dependent on no one. You are not dependent on no one if you are independent. Do you understand? So when you say that you are an independent person, that means you don't have to depend on anybody to get your bills paid or to get your bills done. And one of the things I tell men, I tell not just men, any person, talking about you paying their car note and you just met them, you haven't even dated them a month, and they talking about you paying their car note, or you getting their hair and nails done, or your phone bill, their phone bill, and other stuff. No, don't get me wrong. I think a man should help a woman. Okay, but that's why you talk to the person. That's why you talk to the person. That's why you talk to the person. And one of the things that I will say that you need to be aware of, especially if you're a male, you need to see how much makeup the person's putting on their face. If you're sitting up here, you're talking to a person and they got a ton of makeup on your face, that makeup costs a lot of money. You look at their hair and their hair looks like they spent a lot of money on their hair. It really amazed me to find out how much money ladies are spending on hair. I found out that some ladies are paying $400, $500, $800 to get their hair done. You need to ask yourself, gentlemen, do you want to be with somebody that needs to have $500 to get her hair done, $800 a month to get her hair done? If you're with somebody that needs $500 or $800 a month to get some new hair put in their head, maybe you want to decide to go with somebody else. Do you want to be spending time with somebody that puts a bunch of makeup on their face? See, the more makeup that they put on their face, the more hair that they use, the more times they got to be extremely pampered. A lot of that stuff costs a lot of money. And the question you need to be asking yourself is, who do you think is going to be paying for that money if you decide to spend time with this particular person? Well, that person's going to be you. That person's going to be you. And so you don't want to be with somebody that is high maintenance, somebody that's requiring you, that's hard to please, somebody that you have to spend a lot of money on. Don't get me wrong. If you're in a relationship with somebody, you should be taking, especially if you're male, you should be taking them out regularly. But it's not you don't want to take them out to the point to where you going broke over it. And a lot of people believe the way you start is the way you're going to have to end. So if you coming out and you meeting this person and you bringing your wallet out and you spending all this money, well, what's going to happen to you when you stop spending all that money? So you better start off working up to something. Start off getting some coffee. Start off talking to the person. And it doesn't matter how good the person looks. It does not matter how good that person looks. If that person's a strain on your wallet, you need to leave them alone, especially in the times which we're living in right now. A person is going to be an asset, or a person is going to be a liability. An asset is something that brings money into your pocket. A liability is something or somebody that continues to take from you. And if you're in a relationship where every time you turn around, someone's always taking money from you. You always got to spend money on them. They don't hardly ever want to do something for you, then you need to leave them alone. A person is going to be an asset or a liability. You keep assets and you get rid of liabilities. Do you understand? Keep assets. Keep somebody that's going to help you to build, and get rid of liabilities. I was with a particular person. I was with a person one time, met this woman in the library. Very nice looking woman, very built woman. I mean, I would have married her. But if I would have married her, it would have probably been one of the biggest mistakes of my life. See, like I said before, we're going to be talking about red flags. And you're going to learn about some of the red flags in this video tremendously. Like the first red flag I was talking about in terms of being with somebody that's a liability to you, or extremely materialistic, draining your finances tremendously, and you're not getting hardly anything back in return. I met this woman in the library one time. Very nice looking woman, very built woman. I could have married that woman. I really and truly could have married that woman. But we're just talking about physically. She was perfect. So I did what I'm telling you to do, is get to know the person. Sit down and talk. So anyway, we talked and I called her. We went and did something. And then after we went and did something, we came back to her house and we sat in the car and talked. See, I'm practicing what I'm preaching. And we talked, we sat in the car for about an hour and talked and talked and talked and talked. While we were talking, somehow or another, I leaned over and I smelled the coat that she had on. The coat that she had on smelled like had some smoke in her coat, like she smoked cigarettes. So I asked her, do you smoke cigarettes? She's told me, oh no, I don't smoke cigarettes. I smoke a little weed. I'm like, what? I smoke a little weed? Brothers, let me tell you something. You do not want to be bothered with somebody that smokes weed. And if you're one of those type of person, oh, it don't matter whether she smokes weed or not, I'm not talking to you. Then you're going to probably get caught up in some mess and don't know how to get out of the mess because that's okay for you. But I'm not talking to you guys like that where it's okay. I'm talking to the guys that's got something to offer. I'm talking to the guys that got a decent paying job or a very good paying job. I'm talking to you, the smart ones, okay? You do not want to be bothered with a person, male or female. You don't want to be bothered with somebody that's getting high on a regular basis. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Getting high on a regular basis or getting drunk on a regular basis. If they're getting high or getting drunk on a regular basis, they can get with somebody that might have some marijuana or some other types of drugs, and they can convince them to do some things that they ordinarily would not probably do because they possibly have a drug addiction. So you don't want to be bothered with somebody that's got a drug addiction. Why would you want to be bothered with somebody that's got a possible drug addiction or who's smoking weed on a regular basis? Someone smoking weed on a regular basis has pretty much got a drug problem. You want to leave them alone. So a person like that could possibly screw around on you. So you need to talk to the person and get as much information out of them as you can, which will let you know whether you want to be bothered with this person or not. So when the person told me about that she smoked weed pretty much, and I figured on a regular basis, that let me know I need to leave her alone. I don't care how good she looks, how built she was. This woman, she's a beautiful woman. Beautiful woman. Built. I mean, built. Okay? You hear me? Built. But when I heard the marijuana thing, and that made my mind go back on people who I knew in the past who had a problem smoking marijuana or who had a problem being on some type of drugs. And then I thought about how these people that may have had some sort of a drug problem, how these people cause a whole lot of people, especially their family members, a bunch of problems. I mean, a bunch of problems. And you need to ask yourself, do I want to deal with somebody that's got this problem that's going to end up causing me a bunch of problems? So if that person is drinking too much, using marijuana too much, if they're using it at all, period, you don't want to be bothered with them. It's a red flag. Let them go. I don't care how good they look. Let them go. Let them go. Also, too, what are some other things that you need to be looking at with your red flags? Are you seeing a woman that has fuchsia pink hair? There was a lady where I worked at. This woman was coming to work every day with fuchsia pink hair. And I said to myself, and I talked with another guy about it too, I'm like, can you believe this? This woman's mother is letting this woman out of the house with fuchsia pink hair, and this woman is coming to work with fuchsia pink hair. If you are seeing somebody and they're going to work with fuchsia pink hair, nobody's going to take them serious. If they are going to work or you see them on a regular basis, they got fuchsia pink hair, they got electric blue hair, they have neon green hair, they have blonde hair. Don't let me get started with people wearing blonde hair. There is a celebrity couple. I'm not going to mention their names. There's a celebrity couple. The wife has regularly in the past worn blonde hair. And that particular wife has been embarrassing her husband for years. Embarrassing her husband for many years. So much so to the point, a lot of men are like, dude, why don't you get rid of her? She's embarrassing you. She's embarrassing many other people. So when people see this, this is letting other women know, hey, disrespect your man, disrespect your husband. So anyway, I'm saying this proves the point that I'm making. Do you want a woman that's going to be embarrassing you for years? If this woman happens to become your wife, a red flag is a warning saying, leave the person alone. Especially if they are not smart enough to not go to work with fuchsia pink hair or electric blue hair or neon green hair or some blonde hair, platinum blonde, and all this other type of crazy stuff. If they're going to work with this craziness, leave them alone, because they know they are showing you. They don't think about their actions. That's what they're showing you. So these are red flags. Like in nature, the animals that have the brightest colors, animals, insects that have real bright colors, a lot of times those animals or insects or whatever it is that has a bright color usually lets people know, leave them alone. Red flag, leave the person alone. Another thing, tattoos. You can talk to some guys that have been involved with women for years, and especially the guys that were just always dating women over and over again. And many of those guys will tell you, even if the woman's got a small tattoo, that particular person or even a man does not think. They don't think more than past this minute. Because if a person has a tattoo, they're not thinking about especially if it's a tattoo which cannot be covered up. Like if you're dealing with a person, a male or female, who's got tattoos on their necks, okay, what does that tell you about the person's thinking ability? That tells you the person just does things impulsively. They do things impulsively. They don't think about the consequences of their actions. For example, you got a person that's got, all right, a tattoo all on their neck or tattoo on a face. Well, let me ask you a question. Okay, if they got a tattoo all on their neck, how are they going to be able to cover that up if they're on a job? Okay? Are they going to be able to wear a turtleneck sweater in the middle of the summer and it's 90, 95 degrees? No, they're not going to be able to wear a turtleneck sweater, which is going to cover that up. That tattoo on their neck or tattoo on their face is going to hinder them from getting job opportunities. They can go for an interview and they're sitting there with tattoos on their neck, and it doesn't matter what's coming out of the person's mouth. They can say, oh, I got these qualifications, I got this, I got that, and the interviewer that's going to be on the other side of the table is going to be looking at their neck saying, okay, yeah, you got these qualifications and stuff, but you got these big tattoos on your neck, you got tattoos on your face, and that's not going to be a representation of our company. So that lets you know how much they think they're impulsive. And so if a person is impulsive, they will do stuff without thinking about it. They may regret something after they have already done it. You don't want somebody like that that's impulsive, because they can do something that puts a whole family in jeopardy. So males or females, if you're dealing with somebody that got tattoos on their neck that cannot be covered up, got tattoos, especially if they got tattoos on their face, don't even be bothered with them. Whether they're a male or a female, don't even be bothered with them. That's letting you know that these people could possibly be unstable. Also, too, another red flag. Are you involved with a person that's got to be in the street? Don't be bothered with somebody that's in the street. Why would you want to be bothered with a person that's in the street? Or why would you want to be bothered with somebody that is promiscuous? A person that will mess around with this person and mess around this person and mess around with other person. How will that affect you if you are involved with somebody that in the process of time you talking with them, you find out that they are promiscuous or into threesomes and all that other stuff? How will that affect you? If you are seeing a person that's promiscuous, what do you think they're going to do behind your back? And these are things that you find out by talking to the person. Now, you think that I'm going off the subject. I'm not going off the subject of the child support hustle, of the child support trap, of are your children really your children? I have not went off the hustle. I have not went off the subject in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Why do I bring these things up? Because if you get somebody pregnant that has these red flags, it's going to cause you a bunch of problems in the future. If you get someone pregnant that has these red flags, that person is going to make your life miserable. You're not only going to be paying financially and possibly be in financial hardships for 20 years, but they're going to make your life miserable in numerous other areas. You're not going to want to have a person that has your child, and every time you turn around, they out in the street. Then you're going to be wondering what's going on with your child. Or you don't want to be with a person, and that person's bringing all types of crazy people around your child that you had with them. Your child is seeing all types of crazy stuff because you made the mistake in getting the wrong person pregnant. It is extremely important that you listen to these red flags. You're dealing with somebody who's got to be out in the street or be with their girlfriends or boyfriends all the time. You don't want to be bothered with that. Are you with a person? Another red flag. Are you with a person who's loud and argumentative all the time? You can look in the Bible. The Bible talks about leaving a person alone that's loud, leaving a person alone that's argumentative or combative. Leave them alone. The Bible even says, leave these people alone. If the Bible talks about you're not even supposed to get tattoos. Bet you didn't know that, did you? Yeah, Bible talks about you're not even supposed to get tattoos. Also, too, while you're talking to a person, you don't want to be involved with a particular person that doesn't want something serious with you. Why would you want to be bothered with somebody who, I don't care who you see, somebody that don't care who you are seeing or who you screwing around with? If they don't care what you're doing, then they want you to not care what they're doing. Well, how does that affect you? It affects you in this way. If they're screwing around with whoever they're screwing around, they can come back and give you AIDS, HIV, and you can look online right now, people that have given other people AIDS and HIV by screwing around with numerous people. I looked at a video not too long ago about a woman that was talking about how she got AIDS or how she got HIV. And she got HIV by screwing around with 3 different guys, and each one of those guys was screwing around with different women. If they have the attitude that they don't care who you screw around with and you shouldn't care who they screwing around with, then you need to be extremely concerned. Why do you need to be extremely concerned? Because there are a lot of people out here that have AIDS. A lot of people have HIV. There are people that have gotten herpes from different people. So my question to you is, if you're screwing around with somebody who doesn't care who you screwing around with, and they don't want you to care about who they're screwing around with, just letting you know what they're doing when they're not around you. And then when they get with you, are they going to give you some type of disease or something? I'm telling you, there are diseases out here right now where you could be wearing a condom and still get it. Let me say it again. You could be wearing a condom and still get a disease from them that you can never be healed of. That's what I'm saying. You need to be extremely careful. We are still talking about the child support trap, the child support hustle. Not want to accidentally get someone pregnant who wants to be out in the street screwing around with whoever. You don't want to get nobody like that. You don't want nobody like that to have your child, because you're not going to know who they're going to have around your child, or they're going to be leaving your child at home by themselves. So anyway, as I was stating before, you need to be extremely careful. You need to make sure that you talk to the person, Learn as much as you can about the person and their behavior. And if you are looking for somebody that you think that you want to have as a long-term relationship, or even a wife, you want to get somebody who is what you would call a quote-unquote traditional woman. What is a traditional woman? A woman that has no problem cooking, that has no problem cleaning, has no problem taking care of the household, taking care of her man, having children for you, respecting you, and somebody that you can build something together with. That's who you want to be with. A woman who will respect you, who won't cause you a bunch of problems, who will bring peace to your life, and who you can build something with. Let me give you an example of what happens. You have two people. There were two people. There was a guy by the name, they're African American, a guy by the name of John Johnson. John Johnson was the publisher of Ebony and Jet magazines. Not only was John Johnson the publisher of Ebony Jet magazine, but he was married to a black wife. Okay? Now, this is what happens when you have a husband and a wife that works together. So here you got a black man with a black wife, and they were working together. When he came to Chicago, he was virtually broke. He was brokety broke, okay? And he had just came from the South up north, and so he had an idea that he wanted to start a magazine. It all starts with an idea. It all starts with an idea, and you having the right woman with you that's going to help you to build something. And so this man had absolutely nothing. Him and his wife built a business that by the time John Johnson had died, who was the editor, the publisher of Ebony Jet magazine, when he died, his business was worth over $500 million. That was just one of the companies that was built. I think he also had an insurance company. He had a fashion company. He also had a makeup company. See, the magazine company was worth $500 million, but that was only the magazine company. That's not talking about the other companies that were spin off from the magazine company. So this is an example of what a black man and a black woman can do together if they work together. You cannot allow the negative things spoken in the media, the brainwashing being exposed in the media, that's brainwashing people for us not to work together. So once again, this man was able to build businesses. This is what can happen when you have yourself a good woman that you can build something with, especially if you're looking for a wife. That's what you should be looking for, period, too. Somebody you can get along with, somebody you work with, somebody that you can, that while you are out working and building stuff, she's taking care of your house, taking care of your kids, taking care of all these things. So this is what could happen when you have two people that can work together. So anyway, once again, my name is Kier. I hope you got a lot out of this. Peace.